Somewhere in northern Tanzania, a man wakes before sunrise. No alarm, no phone, no breakfast waiting on a kitchen counter. He opens his eyes to the first gray light pressing through the branches above him, picks up a handmade bow, coats his arrow in plant poison, and walks into the wild. By noon, he may be eating a monkey. This is not history. This is not a documentary recreation. This is happening right now, today, on the same earth you woke up on this morning. If you have never heard of the Hadza people before, you are about to have your understanding of what it means to be human completely rewritten. Stay until the end, because what this tribe reveals about modern civilization might be the most uncomfortable truth you will hear all week. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now. Every week, stories that actually make you think. Stories that actually matter. The Hadza people are not simply a tribe. They are a living fossil. For more than 50,000 years, they have remained near Lake Eyasi in the Great Rift Valley of northern Tanzania, sustaining themselves entirely through hunting and gathering without agriculture, without livestock, without any of the systems the rest of the world has built its survival upon. Their first contact with the modern world happened only about 150 years ago. Let that land for a moment. While Rome rose and fell, while empires were built and buried, while the Industrial Revolution rewired the entire human way of life, the Hadza were right here, doing exactly what they have always done, exactly the way they have always done it. Today, fewer than 1,300 of them remain, making them one of the smallest ethnic groups on the planet. Their language, known as Hadzane, is built on distinctive clicking sounds and bears no relationship to any other language ever classified. Linguists have studied it for decades and still cannot place it in any known language family. It is entirely its own thing, just like the people who speak it. Every morning in a Hadza camp begins the same way. No alarm, no coffee, no calendar notification reminding a man of his obligations. The first light of the sun touching the trees outside his shelter is the signal, and the immediate, pressing reality is this. Today, he needs to find food. Hunting among the Hadza is not a hobby. It is not a weekend activity or a cultural performance staged for visiting cameras. It is the lifeline of the entire community, and the men who carry it out are among the most skilled hunters on the planet. Without firearms, without traps, without any technology that was not made by their own hands, they walk into the savannah and they bring something back. Their bows are handcrafted from flexible wood, their bowstrings woven from the sinew of animals they have already hunted. The arrowheads are coated in a poison extracted from the resin of the Adenium obesum plant, a desert rose that looks beautiful and kills efficiently. One precise shot is all they need. These tools have not changed in thousands of years, and they do not need to. Their prey ranges from small rock hyraxes and birds to warthogs, antelope, and baboons. The baboon in particular is one of the most challenging targets a Hadza hunter can pursue. It is intelligent, fast, and deeply cunning. Hunting one requires not just physical skill, but psychological strategy, an understanding of how the animal thinks, how it moves, and how to cut off its escape before it even knows the hunt has begun. And then there is the monkey. Monkey meat is not a novelty among the Hadza. It is a genuine food source, hunted in the forest canopy with the same precision applied to any other prey, cooked over fire, shared across the group, and eaten completely down to the bone. To a Hadza hunter, it is simply protein. To anyone watching from the outside, it is a window into just how differently two groups of human beings living on the same planet can understand the act of eating. During the dry season, when water becomes scarce and large animals migrate away from the shrinking waterholes, the hunters face a different kind of challenge entirely. So the Hadza do something that would stop most people cold. They follow the vultures. When a lion makes a kill, vultures gather in the sky above it in a pattern that any experienced Hadza hunter can read from a considerable distance. The movement of those birds is a map. It tells him where the lion is, how recently it fed, and whether it is likely to defend its kill or abandon it. The hunters move in as a group, relying on their generations of accumulated knowledge about predator behavior to distinguish a satisfied lion from a threatened one. They take what the lion left. They carry it back to camp. In a world where human beings have built entire cities specifically to separate themselves from the danger of large predators, the Hadza simply learned to read them. While the men hunt, the women are doing something equally essential and arguably more complex. They are the living encyclopedias of the natural world. A Hadza woman knows which plants are edible and which are poisonous with a level of detail that would require years of formal study to approach in the Western scientific tradition. She knows which roots have medicinal properties, which bark reduces fever, which leaves manage infection, and where to find each of them across vast stretches of savanna. This knowledge is not written down anywhere. It exists entirely in human memory, passed from mother to daughter across generations in an unbroken chain. Lose one elder woman and the community loses irreplaceable survival information that cannot be recovered from any book or database because it was never recorded in either. The women also gather the majority of the plant-based food that sustains the tribe through lean months. Wild tubers dug from dry earth with sharpened sticks, baobab fruit cracked open for its dense, nutritious pulp, wild figs, berries, and roots that provide caloric density. The savanna conceals from any eye that has not been trained to find it. The partnership between men and women in Hadza society is not built on dominance. It is built on complementarity. Each role is essential, understood to be essential, and the community survives precisely because both sides carry their half of the weight without question. Hadza society has no chiefs, no kings, no presidents, no bosses, no hierarchy of any recognizable kind. Every decision the community makes is arrived at collectively, with every adult voice carrying equal weight. The elder who has hunted for 40 years sits with the same authority as the young man on his first hunt. This is not idealism. It is a functional system built on a principle called demand sharing. If you have something and someone in the community needs it, you give it to them. Not as charity, not as a transaction. Simply as the operating logic of a group that understands its survival depends on every member of it remaining alive and capable. Economists who have studied the Hadza note that their system produces less measurable inequality than virtually any economy on Earth, not because the Hadza are morally superior to other human beings, but because they built a social structure that makes hoarding functionally impossible. In Hadza society, a man can take up to 10 wives. Before that number produces a reaction, the context matters more than the number. Polygamy among the Hadza is not about status or ego. It is a survival strategy grounded in brutal arithmetic. More adults contributing to the survival of a family unit means more hands gathering food, more people caring for children, more collective knowledge being applied to the daily problem of staying alive. A man who wishes to take multiple wives must first demonstrate exceptional hunting skill and the proven capacity to provide for multiple households. It is earned, and it is rare. The majority of Hadza men have one wife. The nuclear family is the norm. The marriage itself begins with full consent from both parties, with the groom's family offering gifts of food, honey, and handcrafted items to the bride's family as a formal expression of respect and commitment. Divorce exists among the Hadza, carries no social stigma, and both parties are free to build new partnerships, strip away the technology, the money, and the permanent structures, and what is left of a culture is everything that actually matters. Hadza clothing is made from the skins of animals they hunt. Their accessories carry meaning beyond decoration. Necklaces made from seeds, shells, and natural beads are symbols of identity and connection to the natural world. But the true heartbeat of Hadza culture is found after dark, when the community gathers around the fire. The dances that begin after sunset are energetic, all-inclusive, and continuous, involving every age from the youngest children to the oldest elders. No audience, Only participants. The music is made entirely from voices and handcrafted instruments, rhythms passed down through thousands of years of unbroken transmission. Every night around that fire, the culture reproduces itself in the most direct way possible, not through schools or books or institutions, but through the bodies and voices of the people themselves. And around that same fire, the Hadza smoke something called taco, a blend of wild tobacco and local herbs passed from person to person in a handcrafted pipe. Stories are shared. Laughter happens. The physical and emotional weight of the day is processed collectively in a moment of stillness that is, by any honest measure, richer than most things modern life offers in its place. The Hadza carry the most diverse gut microbiome of any human population ever scientifically studied, more diverse than populations in Europe, Asia, or the Americas, more diverse than anyone eating carefully curated modern diets built around probiotics and organic food sourcing. Their gut microbiome shifts seasonally in direct response to what the land provides at different times of year, a biological intelligence that modern nutritional science is only beginning to understand. They start fires without matches or lighters, using a hand drill method that generates a glowing ember from friction alone in a matter of seconds. This skill was never taught in a classroom. It passes directly from parent to child in an unbroken chain that stretches back further than any written record of human history. Every time a Hadza person starts a fire this way, they connect themselves directly to the first human being who ever did the same thing. That is not primitive. That is a direct line to the origin of the species. But this story does not end with celebration. The ancestral lands of the Hadza are shrinking. Modern agriculture is expanding into the savanna. Fences are appearing across territories that the Hadza have moved through freely for 50,000 years. With every acre that disappears, a portion of the food system, the water system, and the survival framework that underpins Hadza life disappears with it. The younger generation faces pressure from two directions simultaneously. From outside, the modern world pulls with the promise of schools, smartphones, and a different kind of future. From inside, the elders carry the weight of 50,000 years of living knowledge and the quiet, urgent hope that someone will choose to carry it forward. A young Hadza person standing at that crossroads is not choosing between primitive and advanced. They are choosing between two entirely different definitions of what a good life looks like. And the tragedy is that the encroachment of the modern world rarely gives them the space or the time to make that choice freely and on their own terms. The question that should stay with every person who encounters the story of the Hadza is not whether they should modernize or remain traditional. That is their decision to make, not anyone else's. The real question is, what is lost when the last people who remember a different way of being human are gone? The Hadza are not a curiosity. They are not a museum exhibit or a performance of the past. They are a mirror, and what they reflect back at the modern world, if that world is honest enough to look, is a version of humanity that is more connected, more resilient, and in many measurable ways more free than most people living today will ever experience. They looked at civilization, at every system and structure the modern world built and called progress, and they said no. For 50,000 years, that answer kept them alive. If this story made the world look even slightly different than it did 30 minutes ago, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and answer this. After everything you just learned about the Hadza, what is the one thing about their life that you genuinely wish you could experience for yourself? Every comment gets read. Every answer matters. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit the button. Turn on the notification bell, because this is what we do every single week. Stories that change how you see things. Thank you for being here today. That means more than you know. See you in the next one.